Good morning. Today is Saturday, July 3rd. It is just past 6:30 a.m. We're going live here in Phoenix. Today we're going to catch you guys up on what's been going on in the market over the last 30 days, try to help you navigate some of the changes that we're seeing, and really take a look to see if there is truly a market shift going on. So if Arizona is on your radar and that information is important to you, then stay tuned. What's up, everybody? It's Greg Corbett with the AZ Lifestyle Group right here in Phoenix, Arizona. If this is your first time to this channel and you're looking to find out everything you need to know about what it's like living in and or moving to the Phoenix metro area, make sure to hit that subscribe button and click the bell so you can be notified whenever we post a new video. We are helping people from all over when it comes to finding the best places and neighborhoods to live here, and we absolutely love it. So if you're even thinking about making a move and you need any assistance whatsoever, give us a call. Send us a text, shoot us an email. However you want to get a hold of us, we got your back when it comes to moving to the Phoenix Metro. All right, let's go ahead and bring in our good friend and partner, Rudy Lopez with Prime Lending. Rudy, good morning, sir. How are you, man?
It's an early morning. Good to see you.
Yeah, not as early for you right now, but we wanted to get this done. Rudy, tell everybody where you're at right now.
I'm in not so sunny and beautiful, yeah, but not so sunny Dallas right now. It's a little gloomy and a little rainy outside, but yeah, I'm 2 hours ahead of you, so it's not quite as early of a morning for me. But nonetheless, I'm happy to be here, man.
That's all right. We get people from all over, so I'm sure we're having people who are chiming in your time zone and all over the place right now. So for anybody that wants to jump on and say hello and join us while we do this, we'll go ahead and do that and try to answer a few questions as well. Rudy, we tried to do this the other day and put this out so we could upload it for yesterday. And the house next door to me got knocked down and it took out my internet for a little bit. So we're going to go live today. Figure everybody's getting ready for the holiday weekend, and there might be some people in town, might be some people looking to come to town, looking to figure out what's going on here in Phoenix, so we'll catch you guys up.
Yeah, I think right now is a great time if you're looking to relocate to Phoenix or thinking about it. Right now is a great time to look, simply because it's obviously the summertime, it's hot, and you kind of get the reality of how hot it can get here. So I think right now is a good time for you to just kind of check it out and see if this is for you, or if maybe it's a little too hot outside for you. But
what's been crazy, like we had probably the earliest 110 plus temps in June. Mm-hmm. We had a full week where it was basically 117. That's not fun for us in June. I mean, typically we might get 115 to 120 ranges like here and there throughout July and August, but to have a full week 117 was a little bit crazy on my end. Thankfully it cooled back down into low 100s. Now we're in the 105 to 110 range right now, but we had a storm come through that brought in a bunch of humidity. So it actually wasn't that hot yesterday, but we had the humidity came in that made it a little crazy. So hopefully we've got a good weekend for hanging out here for the 4th. Hopefully everybody out there watching has got some nice plans and celebrating with family. Everybody's probably doing something a little bit different than last year. So hopefully everybody can get together and spend some quality time together this year.
Yeah, when you say thankfully it cooled down to about 100, 105, then that definitely means you probably live in Arizona.
Yeah. Well, it makes a big difference, Rudy.
It really does. It really does.
We'll take it. All right, so let's get to market stuff. Let's talk about what's going on because everybody's hearing all these maybe new headlines, or if you're watching and all the stuff that's going on, maybe other people putting out content. There's obviously been a lot of people that are waiting for the market to change, waiting for the market to shift because what we've been seeing has been unprecedented. It's been for lack of a better word, it's just unsustainable as far as what we've been seeing, just because of the craziness of what's going on for a lot of different reasons. Obviously, a lot of people moving here, a lot of people just moving around in general, things changing over the last year because of COVID. So let's kind of jump into to Cromford. I'll bring that up real quick here. Let's see. And bring up the market index. So we've been bringing you guys, or showing you guys this market index. This is from the Cromford report. This is kind of measures the supply and demand here in the Metro Phoenix market of what's going on. It kind of takes a lot of indicators into account, kind of gives you a level of what you need to see. Right now we're at 407. We were at a peak in March when it was right around like 530, and it's been slowly coming down and more rapidly lately. I think over the last month it's been more rapidly coming down, and it's basically this demand index here is starting to trickle down into more of the lower average, and then we still have a low supply, but the supply is starting to trickle it up. And then what does that mean overall? So if you guys have watched any of our videos before, when we do like kind of a snapshot and see, this has been all green arrows going up and down, which when you see that, that typically means 100% seller's market. If you see these red arrows, that means it's trending towards a buyer's market. So year over year, we're still seeing a lot of things that is still geared towards seller, but all of these red arrows mean that we're starting to trickle, not into a buyer's market, don't get me wrong on that, but it's starting to trend against some of these, what's going on with the sellers. Active listings are going up. Listings under contract going down. Let's talk about the price per square foot active listings starting to go down. That means people maybe are bringing their prices down a little bit. Average sales price or average price on monthly starting to trickle down a little bit. Again, it's 505 versus 508. Is that a huge number? And then the Cromford Market Index here, this is now showing going under 400. So a lot here. Let me bring Rudy back in so I don't go on forever. Rudy, when you're looking at those numbers, what are you seeing, especially when it comes to just comparing what you're doing day to day with people right now?
Yeah, one term that I'm starting to hear a lot of is buyer fatigue, and
Yep.
a lot of buyers that have been in the market for a while. They've put 15, 20 offers. I know it sounds ridiculous, but yes, 15, 20 offers on houses, and they keep losing. I've heard someone compare it to, applying to medical school, where you're just begging and pleading to be selected, and you're not picked. So it's just eventually, like you said, is you can't sustain it, and it's getting to a lot of buyers, and then also people keep thinking that there's going to be a market crash. So a lot of buyers that maybe weren't able to buy a house because of being outbid are now thinking that if maybe they get out of the market and wait a little bit, that prices will drop or there'll be some sort of crash. So I think a lot of that has to do with what you're seeing in those numbers. And And it's just going to be, something that is all personal preference, because the numbers and the statistics do not point to a market crash. But I am seeing a lot of buyers just fed up. They're throwing their hands up.
Yeah, and I feel very similar when it comes to that type of thing. For anybody who's been watching the channel a lot, you might have seen a little bit of like my wife and I's journey of trying to buy a home in Flagstaff. So we're going through a similar thing where we're not able to waive all our contingencies, waive inspection, waive appraisal, and just be like, hey, we're all in 100K over, no worries. We can't do that. Most people cannot. There obviously are a lot of people that can, and those are the people that have been buying lately. But for the people that are like, hey, look, we're not going to play that game. Now, I'm still looking every day. I haven't given up. I'm not to the point where I'm like, hey, screw this, the market's going to crash and I'm going to buy a house next year for a deal. I don't think that's going to happen, but I don't want to chase, and I don't want to completely overpay on what's going on. Now, we have clients that we're working with every day, and I actually, kind of a crazy story. But I have someone who is out here who needs to find a house. Like they moved out here, they're making a move, and they want to find something, and it's important for them to get something. And so, we've been careful on our offers, but we've had a couple deals where we've had to go 100K plus over list and put offers out there and try to make a play. We lost on both of those that are 100K with a 5-day inspection waiver of an appraisal, and we still lost. Interesting though, Rudy, we got under another. Thankfully it all worked out. We got under a contract on another house, which I think is even better than the other two. I think my buyers are very happy, and the other two that we put bids on, they're now back on the market. So the people that chased that they won, like whatever happened, either people are like, "Hey, we made a mistake. We overpaid." But sellers are going to start to see that, and it's funny because any of these deals where the sellers are not getting crazy, now they're like freaking out on their end. So I don't know if you've seen that from any of people you're talking to on your end going through something similar.
Yeah, what I'm seeing a lot of is listing agents trying to almost create a new market in a neighborhood. So what I mean by that is if houses are normally selling at X, they're trying to sell their listing at Y so that everything else starts creeping over that. And so I'm seeing that a lot of that. And unfortunately, those first couple houses that are trying to be sold at Y are not meeting value. They're not appraising, and that's something that I'm seeing a lot of. And so that's causing a little bit of heartburn from the buyers and the sellers, because the sellers, like you just said, if they're not getting these crazy high offers, or their house did not appraise for this crazy high price that they thought they were going to get, they're freaking out.
Yeah,
and it's starting to kind of have everyone question a little bit on what they should be doing from the buyer side. I've had a lot of buyers, well, not a lot, but I've had a few buyers where the house doesn't appraise by a lot.
Yep.
And they're questioning whether they should be making this purchase because it is quite a low appraisal. And then the sellers questioning if they should even sell the house because it's not appraising. They want more, so maybe they should wait and get more down the road. So it's just causing a lot of confusion with people.
Yeah, and I mean, look, it like buying and selling a house is a very emotional process for a lot of people because it's one of the biggest decisions you can make, and it's definitely one of the biggest financial decisions people make. And there's a lot riding on it. And when people are putting their house on the market, and the difference of making a decision could cost you 50 to 100 grand, because I know enough to see that like when people are new to market, they're going to get a bunch of people who are chasing it. But if that first deal falls through and it goes back to market, they're not going to get those offers again more than often. Those offers go away. So now they're like, okay, well, what can we get that was closer to our list price? And that's pretty significant difference. And maybe people fall in love with that first offer a lot of times, and then it goes away, and then it's like, okay, well, now what do we do? Because it's like people start counting the money already. So it's interesting. We also have a lot of, and I think the supply, like this supply that we're seeing, this increased supply. And I saw an article the other day that I thought was very interesting. It's the make me move sellers, a lot of make me move sellers, which are like, hey, this market's crazy. Like, if you can give me this amount for my house, sure, I'll move. And people are throwing these crazy numbers out there. Some people are getting it, don't get me wrong, but there's a lot of people that might think that the value is even higher than it should be, and those are people that are going to sit on the market, or it's just going to cause the numbers to be skewed a little bit because they're not real sellers.
Yeah, and you can't blame people. One thing is when a market is like this, some might even consider this a once in a lifetime market as a seller. This could be a time for people to really cash in. Actually, it's not that it could be. It is a time for people. Yeah. It has been. I've heard a couple of stories. I heard one story of a buyer in Salt Lake City. They wanted this house so bad that not only did they offer the seller, I think it was 100 or something over list, they also offered to buy the seller's next house.
Yeah.
And they made so much money from the sale of their house, the buyers did, from California to Salt Lake City, that they had enough cash to buy the seller's next house. And they offered it. they were accepted. So it's just ridiculous
I
how
would,
this
I would,
market is.
if I was a seller, I would take that deal, Rudy.
I'd probably sleep on it, but I
Yeah,
agree.
yeah.
Yeah, I might take that deal too.
Well, true. You might be like, "What am I not seeing? What's the like missing piece of information that all of a sudden I don't own this house anymore or something like that?"
Right,
Yeah, it's
right,
like
exactly.
this sounds a little bit too crazy to me, but hey, it's a fun story to tell from here on out for sure.
Yeah, yeah. I had somebody buy my house, or the story of a guy in Denver, I believe, who promised the sellers to name their firstborn after them, and unfortunately, they were not picked. So I don't know if that was a good or bad thing that they
Yeah,
weren't picked. But yeah, just share all
people
these
do a
crazy
lot
stories.
of things to try to win these days, and you know, it is what it is. I think we had a situation where we were at an open house and we just went right to the listing agent and were like, what is it going to take? you know,
Yeah, yeah.
and honestly, it was probably the number actually ended up being less than probably what my buyer would have paid. But timing worked out perfectly, and the seller actually gave a number that said, hey, this works, and we made it happen. So it's crazy times, but I think we are seeing the good news to me, and I try to look at not only what we're going through on our end between you and I as far as helping the buyers that we're helping right now, but also just the overall state and what other agents are going through. I'm going to bring up a post. This came up at the end of June on the real estate forum. Took my clients out, looked at one house, wrote an offer. It was accepted. There was only one other offer on the market, price point in the 400s. That's definitely, not something that we've been seeing over the past few months. So, get a lot of comments, and then you kind of see a little bit. I think it was like 50-50 of, hey, yes, I'm going through the same thing. Same thing happened to me. And then all of a sudden you got other people jump in. They're like, no, that's crazy because we're still seeing a crazy amount of offers on our end. So it's different everywhere you go. But the good news from what I take from that is it's not going to be crazy all the time everywhere. And depending on where you're looking, you might have more of an opportunity to snag something than maybe some other places, depending on the price point, condition, so many factors. But there are circumstances where now you can go in, a house is listed, and you might be one of the only offer, or one of maybe a couple where you're not having to give away all your children, even though some people would probably make that trade to get a house.
And yes, and to that point, not the children point, but to the other point where if a house is on the market for a week now, that's like a year. That just seems like
Yeah.
an eternity. Now, if it's on the market for a week and it hasn't sold yet, then the sellers are dropping the price, which is ridiculous in a normal market. But that can also mean that you as a buyer, after only a week, and normally you would have to wait like a month or two in a normal market. Now, after a
Yeah.
week, you might be able to have a chance because no one's bought this house, and now all of a sudden the sellers are freaking out. But
Yeah.
yeah, you're right. Like the condition of the house, so many factors that go into the decision of buying one. But so looking at possible houses that have been sitting a little longer than normal in this market, maybe a house that could use a little bit of repairs. We can always do a renovation loan to help you with that. So yeah, there's some factors involved as a buyer that you could, maybe some strategies that you could use to snag a house, and not have to compete against 20 other people.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, I am actually very excited to kind of see, a little bit of change just to kind of even things out, make it more of a level playing field for buyers coming in. Obviously we're still going to be helping sellers trying to do right by them and make sure that they get taken care of and do it the right way. But to have these no inspections, waiver of appraisals, and a lot of people are like, basically hard earnest money going under contract just to make sure that is a I get why people are doing it. I understand. There's been several situations where that is totally fine and everything works out fine and everything's good, but it is a recipe for potential problems later on. So I would rather avoid those, helping people if at all possible. And so hopefully if we see a little bit of a shift, then we're not going to have some of these crazy type scenarios continue to happen. I feel like most people are in that same camp. Obviously sellers may be like, hey, I'd rather have everybody waive everything and try to give me more money. I get that. But I think it's going to be more beneficial for more people if we start to see a little bit more evening of the playing field.
I agree. And, there are a couple of factors that point to this, at least for the foreseeable future, continuing this market, at least, it remaining pretty hot. Number one is rates are going to continue to be low. They're in the low threes. So, experts are predicting they're going to continue like that for the rest of this year, going into early next year. And then again, millennials, they're at the prime age for home ownership. And for the next 4 years, that age range is going to continue, and it's going to be the largest home buying age range in the history of this country. The next 4 or 5 years. So the demand is going to continue as long as those two factors are in play.
Well, and so a lot of people talk about like what's going on. So let's talk about some of the factors that kind of control whether it's going to continue moving in the direction of being a seller's market versus some factors that people talk about that might swing it the other direction. When it comes to keeping more people going, I want to bring up this article because there's a lot of talk about some of the investors and institutional investors that are coming into the market. This is Blackstone. This article is about Blackstone buying in the market, basically having $6 million to spend into the real estate market, where they're going to start buying up single-family homes as rentals. You hear a lot of this type of information going on, where you got these institutional investors, and this is where they're going to make money. Is they're going to buy into the housing market, and then they're going to offer them as rentals because the rental market is so challenged right now that there needs more home for the rental market, and that's going to continue pushing prices. A lot of people aren't too stoked about this. But it is what it is. Like if you got institutional investors that are buying properties in this market, that to me will signify that, I don't think these investors would be buying in the market if they thought the market was going to crash at any time. So I don't see that. The other thing on the opposite side of it is, at the end of July, and this is something that I think a lot of people will be closely monitoring, is the eviction moratorium is going to end. So now anybody who might have been protected by that over the last year, where maybe people have been struggling, haven't been making their rent payments, and haven't had to, and have been protected from that, now people will finally be able to go through the process and evict people who aren't paying. Trust me, there's plenty of probably stories on both sides where people really need the help, and this is going to be bad, and we need to find help for them. And there's probably people who are taking advantage of it, and they need to go. So I'm sure, hey, tell us your stories, because if you number one, if you're a renter, tell us your stories. Number two, if you own a home and you are renting a house and you've been going through this and it's hurting you, I want to hear that as well, because I think there's probably both that are people that are getting hurt by this. But how do you see that affecting the market, Rudy?
Yeah, so to your first point on Blackstone, I'm glad you brought that one up. That's just going to exacerbate the situation, because it's going to take more and more inventory off the market for single family homeowners, or people wanting to purchase a primary residence, and now they're going to be in the hands of investors. So that's even less inventory that's going to be available, which is going to cause prices to continue increasing even more than they are already. $6 billion, that's a lot of money. Yeah. So I'm glad you brought that up, because I saw that article recently and thought the same thing. And then regarding the moratorium, that's going to be very interesting, because to your point, there's very contrasting opinions from both sides, and there's very strong opinions on whether the market's going to shift one way or the other, depending on some of these changes or some of these items being canceled. So I I'm really curious to see what's going to happen with that. I really am. If
Yep.
there's going to be this wave of homes that are going to be on the market now that people can sell them, and because their tenants are no longer occupying the homes.
Yep.
If forbearances, once they're officially over, if there's going to be the wave of houses that are going to come available in the market, I don't believe so. But
Yep.
it's one of those things where you just don't know.
Right.
But I think we can all agree that this is not going to stop, or this market is not going to slow down anytime soon.
Well, and I think so. Let's clarify that. I think it could slow down, which is good. I think, but I don't think it's going to turn into a buyer's market. So it's a little bit of both. So I think people want one side or the other. Like, hey, it's gonna continue being this. It's not going to continue being this. It's not going to swing all the way out to the other end where you're going to start seeing significant changes in pricing. I think the changes in pricing that you're going to be seeing are numbers coming down from people who are listing crazy high and aren't going to get those numbers. So it's going to reflect prices coming down, or maybe a change in that. But I think we're still going to see overall numbers increasing, just at a slightly or at a lower pace. We're going to start seeing them at a more sustainable pace that makes sense as far as price increases go. Shoot, I wanted to, there was a couple things that you brought up that I wanted to touch base on. Well, let's talk, because not only Blackstone, I've seen some other iBuyers where obviously between Zillow, Open Door, OfferPad, we have still a lot of iBuyers and investors, and that's just the big names that are out there. There's still plenty of investors that are looking to buy properties right now, and they are paying. They're kind of jumping in, paying over list, paying over what most people think is market value. And these buyers typically used to go in and they'd be like, hey, we'll make the process really smooth and easy for you. We'll close whenever you want to close. We'll give you cash, everything. But after you pay our percentages, you're probably going to make a little bit less than what you would have made on the normal market. Now that seems to be potentially going away too. And they're overpaying a little bit, and their fees have come down. And so, when you have this amount of people, now they put the houses back on the market, so those end up being houses that go back to market. But again, it's interesting to see the investors feel like this is a market, because those are people that spend a lot of time and energy on what's the future look like. So if you're thinking there's going to be a complete downturn there, I'm just not seeing it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Those investors are sometimes a good barometer on what could potentially happen in the future. And if they're jumping in, both feet in or head first, they are definitely telling us something on what could potentially be in the horizon. And if they're all in and they're buying and they're taking advantage of this market, then I feel like we should be looking at it the same way.
Yeah. And then going back to, I remember my point as far as for anybody who's thinking about the eviction moratorium causing a big change, number one, you can already, and we're already seeing this a little bit, there's already people that can list their home with renters in there to say, hey, the renter's going to be moving out in August, September, October, but we're going to list it now. So you you can buy now, and then they're going to be in there until this or so month. And so there's people that are already listing their house too. Number two, if you do have somebody who is not paying and you're an owner of a home and you've been waiting for this to get somebody out, I'm not seeing or what I was going to say is you probably aren't going to be losing money, because there's still enough buyers to pick up the home. So that's not going to be a distressed situation. I think a lot of people think that if people are moving out, there's going to start to be a number of distressed properties. And I don't think that it's going to be distressed. I think it'll just be more inventory hitting the market. It's not going to be foreclosures, because there's too much equity on these properties. So everybody who's like, hey, we're going to see a massive wave of foreclosures, there's no foreclosures going on in our market right now. You would have to see crazy things happen to see foreclosures starting to hit the market. There's just too much equity that people have. So, and there's not going to be enough homes to cause such a downturn. At least I don't believe so, to make that happen. So, I'd say let's get a little bit more inventory, slow things down from a craziness where you're not having to make crazy overlist offers, and then just have a healthy market going forward, hopefully.
Yeah, and I think something to consider now too is, let's say the market did crash. Let's just pretend. Rates are going to go up. So, even if you were to hopefully wait for this market crash that hopefully happens, or this correction, or this drop in price, whatever you want to call it, rates are not going to stay at these historically low numbers. So, which one would you rather have? A higher interest rate and the possibility of a lower price, or would you want to go ahead and just take advantage of what you have now and just ride the wave and just get it fixed at a low rate here for the future?
Yeah, and it's tricky because, again, it's a big decision. People are putting a lot of money down, and when you start hearing a bunch of opinions and you start seeing, I mean, look, I think we both love YouTube. It's a great opportunity for us to go out and talk to people who are moving here. But YouTube is full of people who try to get views by using scare tactics and be like, hey, the market's going. Maybe it's not scare tactics. Maybe it's people who really believe this stuff is going to happen. But there's a lot of information out there, and if you're not 100% sure who to trust, then of course you're going to have a little bit of fear before you jumping in too. So. I think that's why, from our side, Rudy, we try to not just give our opinion on it, because it's like, hey, we're in the business. Obviously, we're here to help people purchase homes. But, it's not only what it does for our business, but what we're going through personally as well, and like what we think is happening because we're going through a lot of the same things. So I think we do our best to be very transparent and give people the pros and cons, but also put all the information out there to really guide people in the right direction.
Absolutely. Put the information out there to guide them in the right direction. And that is so imperative, especially when you're starting to look, or you're starting to think about buying a house. Having the right strategy has never been more important than it is today. So if you're even considering buying a house, whether it's in the next few months or in the next year, knowing your numbers and knowing your strategy is going to be extremely important, instead of looking at houses, falling in love with a house, then all of a sudden applying for a mortgage because you think that now is the right time to do that.
Yeah.
So, I couldn't agree with you more.
It's effective. We've got a couple comments. Number one, Yvez jumping in, saying hello. Yvez, how are you? Good to see you as always. And then we've got a couple comments as well. I am unable to pronounce the name here. Unfortunately, I think it's unfortunate to go to school. My cousin will attend fall 2021 ASU, have to pay a lot for rents. We're here and there. It's ridiculous to witness the rise in such a short period of time. This has been, it's a good point, and it has been extremely challenging, especially like I had somebody reach out to me the other day who is just graduating college this year. They're graduating in July, and they're like, hey, I got a job in Chandler. I'm looking to find a 1-bedroom or studio apartment. All I'm seeing is stuff in like the $1,500-$1,600 range. They're trying to find something hopefully like in the 1,100 square or 1,100 range. And because of everything that's been going on in the housing market, it has crushed a lot of people who just don't have the resources and are just looking to get started on their own. And if you're younger and you're just kind of getting started in the job market, or you're trying to get some, like this last 6 months for sure have probably been very devastating on a lot of people's potential plans that they had, especially coming out of what we've been dealing with COVID, and being like, okay, well, now I can get back into real life and start, and then have all this where it's like, okay, now I can't afford rent. That not fun for a lot of people right now, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's not. And just like sellers are looking to capitalize on selling their house, landlords are also looking to capitalize on this rent. So it's just a rough situation, and it's just can't really say much about that.
Yeah, it is, it is what it is. We're going to try to keep helping people and help guiding people. So keep asking questions, because we'll try to find other solutions maybe for you. Like, I remember when I was younger, and we didn't have this, but it's like, okay, well, I couldn't afford to go get my own place, so I had to go rent a room from somebody for a couple years. So you find other things. Is it the ideal situation that you would hope for when you're younger? No, but you do what you have to do, and there's other options. So we'll try to help guide people either way. We obviously, I think, Rudy and I try to help people win when it comes to the market right now. So we help people who have the means to do that, but we also try to help people who maybe don't have the means, give them other options as well. So we're here for you, Rudy. Let's. I know we're going on 35 minutes right now. I think we've given a lot of people a lot of information for the weekend to kind of take in. Any last thoughts for people as they celebrate the weekend going forward?
No, just I wish everyone just a happy 4th of July weekend. It's been a rough 12, 18 months for all of us, and thankfully now with things slowing down with COVID, hopefully we all get a chance to spend time with our loved ones and those that we care about that we probably didn't get a chance to last year and recently. So I just hope everyone has a chance to give that special person a hug and a high five and get a chance to enjoy some much needed quality family time.
Yeah, it's definitely much nicer this year to get everybody back together, feel good about it. It's nice to go out and I've been happy to not have to wear the mask around town. That's been nice. I don't know how many times I would go get out of my car, walk up to the store, and realize I didn't have my mask, and go back to my car, go get it. And it's nice to not have to go through a lot of that stuff anymore. But it's really nice to see everybody again. And then for any of you, if you have any questions, reach out to us. Like we're here for you. Give us a call, send us a text. Again, like however you want to get a hold of us, reach out, ask your questions. We're here to help guide you. If now is not the right time, we'll try to guide you on when it could be. And if you're like, hey, we need something, like we'll try to do everything we can to make it happen and hopefully get you a little bit better deal than you were thinking. So, Rudy, appreciate you coming on. Everybody have a great 4th of July weekend. Celebrate as best you can, but be safe. And we will catch you guys later on. We'll see you guys.
See you guys.